Hey, what's up? How is it going? It has been a while. Got the VP4 here. We're checking it out. Right now I'm running pre or post through the FM3. I have it set up with like 4 cables in and out in stereo. However, I have 2 FM3 presets, one that is pre and one that is post, and I can just change with a foot controller. So I think the FM3 is a huge candidate for using the VP4 and expanding things on your FM3. Here is a nice shimmery reverb before the amp and after. This Plex, whoever dialed this in, is amazing. This Plex is a nice puff. Like it fades pretty quickly versus most like delays or what you would think. I just love how it puffs in and then it gets out of the way. Nice, nice. That Matt guy. I love what it does with this preset in particular. Like we have the reverb going. Right, but then we add the Plex and it gives a nice puff, like a accentuation mark, exclamation mark while you're playing. But the reverb block like carries it through. Right? Like the Plex is just nice, a nice push, and then it gets out of the way. This is so cool. And then, yes, I haven't demoed that just yet, but let's see, for the Verb, yeah. So you hold a button and you get access to all the names of the channel types that you have selected, and you can choose these. If you tap it, it'll change and then go away. But if you hold it and then hold again, it'll keep the list up. So you can keep trying it if you're like checking out all the different channels. We're doing slow chords today. It's morning for me. We have ultra high turned on, I believe, in all channels. Yep. And it just sounds amazing. You can take the weight of reverb off of your FM3, cable it in, and then you have all your reverbs and delays post if you want, and just ultra quality. Everything feeds it right back into the FM3 and out your XLRs. This is going to be a real great addition, and I'm just talking about the FM3. It's going to be a great addition to like any rig, really, if you like reverbs and that sort of thing. But yeah, what a powerful sound! Just 2 blocks right now. Oh, whoever did this one nailed it as well. These effects. And then let's go to scene mode here. I like turning the dial. So many ways to do it. Perfect. Imagine, just think of the number of people who use the Axe-Fx 3 for post effects. Yes, it has some different routing and things like that, and you can do X amount of blocks, whatever. But like the number of touring pros who use the Axe-Fx 3 for mostly post effects, you know, your weekend warrior guy probably isn't going to do that just for that. Boom. Here you go. have your amazing just post effects. We're just talking about post effects right now. Let's hear the chorus. Oh yeah, I know that one. Purple flanger. Oh yeah, yep. Pink delay. Let's see. Ooh, the rotaries. Yeah. Expert mode. So let me show you. We're on the hardware right now. We're on the hardware view. So let me go and select, let's say, our reverb. This one's really going to be crazy looking. Okay, so we have our reverb selected. I'm going to press enter to start editing it. And let me zoom in. And we see just a few, reverb has a lot of stuff. So there's going to be a couple of pages of sort of our basic controls, time, size, pre-delay, all these things that you're going to want to be able to adjust quickly. We can page over a few more things like ducking, stereo spread, our input gain control we just looked at, right? So that's page left and right. Let me zoom out so you can see it. If we press the page buttons together at the same time, we're going to get our expert page. And basically this is kind of like the advanced mode if you have a Fractal product like the FM3 or Axe-Fx, where a lot of the features are just kind of in this long list style page. You can then use the select wheel. I'm turning a knob here called select to go through everything. And this just gives you access to every single thing the block has. So it is somewhere, and that somewhere is in expert view or expert edit, however you want to look at it. We can page over and we see our low cut graph. Any more on the reverb block? No. So yeah, a page with a ton of stuff on it. And then any page, usually with a graphic like this, will be on its own page, so you can see everything. So that's what it looks like on hardware. Get out of here, and in edit, here is our reverb block. Again, just a few things. Yeah, for sure. So that is on hardware. On edit, check this out. First of all, if you notice, the editor is kind of like a more HD-ish look, like the 16:9 aspect ratio. I don't think it's quite that. It's I think it's a little thinner, so you can fit other things on the screen. But it is a wider look on the editor versus FM3 Edit. I have it right here, actually. I'll overlay it on top. And you can see how FM3 Edit is more of a 4:3-ish ratio, whereas the VP4 Edit is wider aspect ratio. So let me get that out of the way. But on the bottom left, once you've clicked on pretty much any block, I'm pretty sure all blocks have them. We'll stick to reverb. You click expert edit here. Are you ready for it? I don't think you're ready for this. I'm going to hit it. Look at that. A fully redesigned view of kind of how the parameters look on the screen compared to the FM3, Axe-Fx3, and things like that. I really like the design. Some are have a lot of parameters for the screen, so you do have to scroll a little bit on some blocks, not all of them. But the reverb has just so much. I just wanted to show you that. But here they are in anything with a sort of percentage or value 0 to 10 sort of thing. You can click and drag to change it. You can click on it and type in a value if you want a specific value. If you want to reset to default, you double click on the name of the parameter here. And again, click and drag. There are a few things with like lists. So this one actually has a pop-up full list, but there's some that have just a smaller list here. So yeah, they have everything in here for the reverb block. And when you're done, get out of expert edit and just go back, safe at home with just a few knobs. Safe at home with just a few knobs to check out. Yeah, all the parameters at once. There are a few, let me see if I can find any. So like here, the delay block has a few sort of pages or tabs, however you want to call this here. And that's to break up sort of this view of sort of basic parameters, changing, splitting up the modulation and EQ versus sort of your basic delay things in the delay block. But again, you click expert edit. And And pretty much everything's here. If you right click it, you get your familiar modifier pop-up with your sources and things like that. So kind of cool. Oh, this one also has tabs at the top, so look out for that. So this one's on the modulation as well, LFO, its own page of things here. So a lot of stuff consolidated into 1 or 2 pages in Expert. Another thing people were discussing is CPU recently. So this one has a Plex delay, 2 reverb blocks, and a volume pedal for swelling. Right now, this is at about 74% CPU, and these are all ultra high, where are we at? Ultra high quality reverbs, 2 of them, ultra high. Every channel is ultra high, by the way. So again, only what block is loaded and channel is loaded affects the CPU at the time. However, you can just go crazy through all 4 channels of both reverb blocks. That's 8 types of reverb in one preset. At ultra high quality, the highest quality it can make, with a Plex delay going on for its own sort of reverb and delay qualities, and we're at 74%. So right now, if we go into mix and routing on edit, right now this seems to be all in series. Yep, so in edit, it looks like this. You have your mix overview, and we do have that page on hardware as well. So I'm going to click back and forth. You can compare these. But on edit, we have our channel selections here for quick access, your mix, if it affects this correctly, level of the block and sort of things. And you can change channels and adjust mix and level as applicable, bypass mode, and all these things on and off. This is what it looks like on the hardware. Very similar look, the bypass on and off, channel select, mix if it makes sense for the effect that's there, and your level. So you can do a lot just from this screen on hardware real quick to balance your blocks rather than going into each block, finding the level knob, This is from our home screen. Sorry, I'm balancing it on something. From our home screen, you just page right a few times to get to your preset mix page. And I think a lot of people are going to be on this page a lot too once they go from home to the gig and they just want to adjust the balance of blocks. This is a great option, of course, rather than digging into each block. Go back to our editor view here. And also we then have our routing page, and we can change things from series to parallel. Effects 1 is always in series because it's the first one. So let's do parallel here. So now the volume, which is a swell in this case, will not affect this first reverb, but it will affect the next ones. Let's just see what that sounds like. We're going to turn on our volume block and hear the swell into it. And then let's turn this on. Let's try turning on the kill drive for Reverb 1. You can have all 4 parallel if you want, and what this means is that the first reverb block, for example, won't reverb into the second reverb, and that reverb also won't go into the Plex. A lot of people like chaining reverbs and delays in series because the reverb can seep into the delay block, and the delay can slowly delay the reverb more and more, so it becomes more washy. And a lot of times that's the effect you are going for. But if you don't want that, you can set everything to parallel, these 4 blocks in parallel, and not have them like speak to each other. They won't mix into each other. They're just going to make their own distinct effect that eventually blends out of the outputs, of course. But the reverb won't go into the Plex delay. So something real quick. Again, I'm using the FM3. I have it connected via MIDI out of the FM3 into the VP4, just that. I have a MIDI block here, And I have it set so scene 1 is going to send a value for scene 1 to the VP4. And scene 2, this MIDI block, is going to send the value for scene 2 on the VP4. It's not happening yet because I need to enable it. Go to setup here and remote, and you have the things you can adjust on here. And I'm going to change scene select. I used CC34 because I'm from the XFX Ultra, XFX 2 days where scenes on the 2 started using CC34. All I'm going to do is change these buttons off screen here. So we're in scene 1 on the FM3, and we have scene 1 on the VP4 setup. And it sounds like this. So scene 1 on my FM3 is clean. Scene 2 is like a Vox little bit of grit here. So we have the flanger on for the mistress scene here. I'm going to change on my FM3 to scene 2, and my VP4 changed to scene 2 as well. Now we have a Vox amp from my FM3 and a phaser effect from scene 2 on the VP4. So as far as making the FM3 or FM9, if you want, whatever, work along with the VP4, right now I'm just using basic MIDI block to change scenes. Right now I'm matching them up, so scene 1 is scene 1 on both, scene 2 is scene 2 on both. Keep in mind the VP4 only has 4 scenes to go along with its 4 blocks and that sort of stuff, the number 4. So if you are doubling up and you're using all 8 scenes on the FM3, you're going to have to adjust things or have it change presets as well, that sort of thing, if you really want to, you know, get that integration going. But also simplifying things and having like scene 2 is your lead delays and reverbs, right? Scene 2 on the VP4 is lead stuff, and scene 1, 3, and 4 or whatever are your sort of different rhythmic things. So if you have 3 lead scenes on your FM3, just make them all point to scene 2, which is your lead scene. So you can start simplifying things like that. But I'm going to click some foot switches on the bottom here. Scene 1. Scene 2. So let's just go through some of the pages. We've seen a lot of this, but we have the effects editor, which pops up when you click a block, of course. We have our input gate here per preset. We have our levels. So our main preset level, I have been adjusting this just to change the entire level down or up as needed. You have balance and you have your scene levels here. You do have EQ here for your preset out. So let's say this preset is very bright, but otherwise you like it, you can start turning that down and adjusting the level and balance here as well. We have our mix page and routing. We haven't talked about 4 cable method. I'm not set up for that because I do have to change physically the cables around, and my camera's in the way and all that. But you do have to enable 4 cable method mode, 4CM mode, and you also have to adjust your preset to turn on 4 cable method. Just the way the cables, the connections work between sort of standard in and out versus 4 cable can introduce a loop, a feedback loop in there. So it's just really making sure that you're set up and you actually turn on 4 cable mode and you're set up that way physically before you kind of get some feedback loops going on. But it does have 4 cable method mode. My goodness, that's hard to say. 4CM, it does have it. It's going to be mono for both input and output since there are 4 ins and outs, and you need all 4 to do 4 cable method. Controllers, we have our tempo, LFO with a nice graph both on hardware and edit, our envelope, ADSR, our sequencer, which is really cool, and then your modifier list. Of course, you can go into blocks and set up modifiers as we're used to with LFOs. A few less options due to the smaller setup of this, but LFO A and B, a couple of pedals, things like that. There is a quick build, and it will pop up if you go to a blank preset. If there's an empty block here in the editor, you'll get the quick build by default. And a lot of people like this view, and you can see the short names of everything and their colors. And you can just click and drag to get that up there, and then boom, you're editing. Once you click here, you'll see the effect you're editing. You can also right click like we're used to see the full list. Some of it's going off screen for me, but here we go. You can choose your delays. Here are some of the block counts, pretty much 4 of most things. Pitch has 2 available. Reverb has 2 available. There's 1 ring modulator only, 2 synths, and everything else has 4 total instances of it. This is the tuner view of the VP4. I have it set to mute automatically when I enter the tuner. You can enter the tuner with the right 2 foot switches by default. You can tune like that. You have the arrows, the left and right thingy, and the wheel thingy. I'm using all the technical terms right now. And then you can mute or unmute with the 3rd foot switch. Your tap tempo is in here as well, so you can go to the tuner and keep it unmuted and tap tempo while you play. We have home, save, page right and left, enter and exit. If you press both enter and exit together, you get our setup screen, which has all your typical ins and outs and things like that. Exit to get out of that. As we page right, I'll just keep the zoom up. We're going to page right. We have our input gate per preset, our level indicator in and out, as well as our scene levels as we showed earlier. Preset EQ, which we saw in the editor, our mix and routing page here, which is really nice to have. I think this is an important one. Then a bunch of quick reset options, and our controllers we can get to by pressing enter, and we have tempo, LFO, envelope, ADSR, everything we saw earlier. So a lot on the hardware to go along with the editor that can adjust it all. All right, I think I'm actually going to wrap up for the day. I'm going to personally pair it with the FM3 when I use it, just to free up, like I said, have a lot of the tone generation stuff on the FM3 side and a lot of the modulation, post effect, reverb type thing on the VP4. Thanks for hanging out. Good to see everyone. Glad to be back. This is my first stream or video for a while. We've been busy doing stuff. But good to see everyone. Hope everyone's doing well out there. Whatever gear you have, enjoy using it. If you can get one of these VP4s, I know you'll love it. And we're just getting started. This is the first firmware version. I will see you guys next time. Have a great day, evening, wherever you are, and I'll see you again. Goodbye.